Welcome friends. As a part of this lecture series, today I am going to discuss the topic entitled Atmosphere, its composition and structure. The Earth is the only known planet on which life exists. The present condition and properties of Earth's atmosphere are one of the main reasons for Earth to support life. First of all, we should know what is atmosphere. The atmosphere is the blanket of gases or vapors that surround the Earth and held together by the force of gravity. Other planets too have atmospheres, different from the Earth. The composition of the gas mixture in our atmosphere is the result of various chemical reactions occurring throughout millions of years. It extends for several thousand kilometers from the surface of Earth. At present stage of evolution, the atmosphere protects life on this globe from the hostile environment of outer space. In fact, it nurtures life on Earth, providing carbon dioxide to plants to make food through photosynthesis and oxygen to organisms for respiration and releasing energy from their food. Nitrogen is essential to make living matter. Nitrogen fixing bacteria and ammonia manufacturing plants produce chemically bound nitrogen, which is also available to the animals. Atmosphere also transfers water from the ocean due to evaporation and transpiration. The atmosphere is special because it contains life-sustaining oxygen in large quantities, about 21% by volume. In fact, it took millions of years to reach the present condition by various processes. Along with its development, life came into existence and evolved. It is amazing to know how perfectly all the natural processes on Earth are functioning harmoniously. In fact, the processes of atmosphere do not take place in isolation. Atmosphere constantly exchange energy and matter with other components of Earth, lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. Hereafter, the term atmosphere is used for Earth's atmosphere. Atmosphere extends from a few meters below Earth's surface or water surface to a height of about 60,000 kilometers. However, about 90% of the atmosphere is within few kilometers from the ground. Most of the mass of the atmosphere is near planetary surface as the gravity pulls them towards the Earth's center. The atmosphere is a complex system in which physical and chemical reactions are constantly taking place. Many atmospheric processes take place in a state of dynamic balance. For example, there is an average balance between heat input and output from atmosphere. Earth's climate system maintains a dynamic balance between solar energy entering and radiant energy leaving the atmosphere. Levels of oxygen in the atmosphere are regulated by a dynamic balance in the natural carbon cycle between processes that emit oxygen through photosynthesis and others that consume oxygen, such as respiration. The strength of atmospheric circulation is also controlled by dynamic balance. Some parts of the planet receive more energy from the sun than others, and this uneven heating creates wind motions that act to move heat from warm to cold regions. Today, human actions are altering key dynamic balances in the atmosphere. Most importantly, humans are increasing greenhouse gas levels in the troposphere, which rises Earth's surface temperature by increasing the amount of heat radiated from the atmosphere back to the ground. Now, dear friends, let us discuss general characteristics of the atmosphere. The main characteristics of the atmosphere is number 1, air are colorless, odorless and tasteless. Number 2, it is mobile, elastic and compressible. Number 3, we cannot feel its presence unless there is horizontal motion in it. Number 4, air in horizontal motion is known as wind. Number 5, air has weight and the pressure it exerts is known as atmospheric pressure. Number 6, atmospheric pressure is a climatic element. Number 7, at sea level, the pressure is 1034 gram per square centimeters, that is 14.7 pound per square inch. Let us know what are the significances of an atmosphere. All the life forms owe their existence to the atmosphere. Animals need oxygen and plants need carbon dioxide. It is the atmosphere that provides oxygen and carbon dioxide. The atmosphere maintains the level of water and radiation in the Earth system. The atmosphere maintains the temperature that suits us. In the absence of atmosphere, there would have been extremes of temperature at about 260 degrees between day and night. It shields us from the sun's ultraviolet radiation, which is injurious to both plants and animals. It acts as a protective wall against the bombardment of meteors. The currents, motions, and various other activities of the atmosphere combine together to produce weather. Now, dear friends, we will discuss now about composition of atmosphere. The composition of atmosphere are gases present in large amounts, water vapors and solid particles, in considerably less amounts. Gases that in the atmosphere are divided into two kinds based on their concentrations, that is, constant gases and variable gases. Constant gases are the ones whose concentration do not change over time and their concentrations almost remain same. Variable gases are present in different concentrations at different places and times. This gaseous composition of the atmosphere is usually expressed by percentage volume, that is, each gas relative part of the total mixture. For example, 78% of the atmosphere is made of the gas nitrogen, 21% is composed of oxygen and 0.9% is made up of argon. These three gases together make up 99.9% of the atmosphere. Other vapors or gases that make up the atmosphere include water vapor, carbon dioxide, neon, helium, methane, krypton, and hydrogen. These gases, along with many others, are referred to as trace gases, in that there are small traces of them in the atmosphere. The concentration of gases in the atmosphere is measured in parts per thousand, that is ppt, parts per million, ppm, and parts per billion, ppb. The atmosphere also contains solid materials in addition to the gases above. This solid material is very small, between 0.1 and 25,000 of millimeter or micrometer, and is known as particulates. To give you some idea how small particulates are, a single grain of table salt is about 100 micrometers in size. And so, we are talking about a mass of material that is 1 by 1000 to 1/4 the size of a grain of table salt. In addition to gases and solids, liquids also exist in the atmosphere. The most common one of these is water exists in the atmosphere as clouds, rain and fog, all of which are visible and therefore familiar. Now, dear friends, let us discuss about importance of atmospheric gases and other constituents. As such, nitrogen in its gaseous form in the atmosphere is not that important. It is non-poisonous, but indirectly it is very important as it is converted into useful forms for life by certain microorganisms. Nitrogen is very important in the formation of amino acids, which are building blocks of proteins, and also in the formation of nucleotides, which are part of the genetic material, that is DNA and RNA. This is one of the best examples that the natural processes are in perfect harmony with each other. It is needless to stress the importance of oxygen. Every living organism, including humans, need oxygen for respiration. Respiration is the process through which the chemical energy, that is food, is converted into usable form of energy by living cells. Inert gases, as such, do not play any role in the environment. However, they are used for commercial purposes such as in neon lights. Now we will discuss role of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is emitted by all living organisms as an end product of respiration. This carbon dioxide in turn is used by producer organisms, that is green plants and certain microorganisms, for the synthesis of food. This process is called photosynthesis. This is another example how natural processes are interrelated and interdependent, as a large amount of carbon dioxide is utilized by plants. On average, it comprises only 0.04% of dry air. Nevertheless, it plays significant role in keeping the atmosphere at temperature that permit life. The concentration of carbon dioxide nowadays is increasing due to human activities. Today, man burns large quantity of fossil fuels for various purposes. As a result, huge amount of carbon dioxide are emitted into atmosphere. Its ever increasing concentration has already resulted in global warming and in some places melting of ice, water vapors through present in small quantities plays a crucial role. It is responsible for cloud formation in the atmosphere and precipitation. Its concentration varies over time at a given place and at different places. It is an important component of the atmosphere in determining the weather of a place at a given time. It is responsible for fog formation during early morning hours. In winter, water vapor also absorbs outgoing radiations from the earth as carbon dioxide, and it has a crucial role in greenhouse effect. Thus, both carbon dioxide and water, along with ozone in troposphere, methane and nitrogen oxide are called greenhouse gases. Dear friends, let us know what is the role of other gas constituents. In addition, water present in clouds can reflect and absorb the part of the incoming solar radiation. It also determines the weather of a place at a given time to a large extent. Water vapors is also transported along with the wind and its circulation. As a result, it is distributed to the parts away from sea. Nevertheless, the places that are far away from sea will have less moisture content than the places near the sea. Other variable gases are also present in the atmosphere but in minute quantities. They are hydrogen, helium, sulfur dioxide, methane, carbon monoxide, and oxides of nitrogen. Some of them are air pollutants emitted by human activities. Solid particles are present in minute quantities in the atmosphere. They might have originated either naturally or by human activities or both. In acceptable quantities, they are beneficial as they initiate and take part in cloud formation. The solid particles absorb and scatter the solar radiation. When their concentration goes high, they reduce the visibility of atmosphere. They also affect other living organisms in many ways. Dear friends, let us know what is the structure of atmosphere. The gaseous area surrounding the planet is divided into several concentric strata or layers. About 99% of the total atmospheric mass is concentrated in the first 20 miles, that is 32 km, above Earth's surface. There are two types of atmospheric structures, such as thermal structure and magnetoelectronic structure. Let us first of all know what is thermal structure. Atmospheric layers are characterized by variations in temperature resulting primarily from the absorption of solar radiation, visible light at the surface, near ultraviolet radiation in the middle atmosphere, and far ultraviolet radiation in the upper atmosphere. Thermal structure is divided into following layers. Number 1 is troposphere. It is the bottom layer of the atmosphere. It contains 70% mass of the atmosphere. It extends to an average height of 12 kilometers. However, its thickness varies with latitude. Over the poles, only about 8 km. Above the equator, it is about 16 km. A very important feature of this layer is that temperature decreases with height in this layer. The rate of decrease of temperature with altitude is called lapse rate. Average lapse rate in troposphere is minus 6.4 degree centigrade per kilometer. Troposphere ends at tropopause. Tropopause is just like a lid over troposphere, where temperature stops decreasing with height. Number 2 layer is stratosphere. Stratosphere is the second major strata of air in the atmosphere. It extends above the tropopause to an altitude of 30 miles, that is 50 km, above the planet's surface. The air temperature in the stratosphere remains relatively constant up to an altitude of 15 miles, that is 25 km. Then it increases gradually to up to the stratopause. Because the air temperature in the stratosphere increases with altitude, it does not cause convection and has stabilizing effect on atmospheric conditions in the region. Ozone plays the major role in regulating thermal regime of stratosphere, as water vapor content within the layer is very low. The ozone layer is centered at an altitude between 10 to 15 miles, that is 15 to 25 km. Approximately 90% of the ozone in the atmosphere resides in the stratosphere. Ozone concentration in this region is about 10 parts per million by volume, as compared to approximately 0.04 ppm in the troposphere. Ozone absorbs the bulk of solar radiation in wavelengths from 290 nanometer to 320 nanometer, that is UVB radiations. These wavelengths are harmful to life because they can absorb by the nucleic acids in the cell. Increased penetration of ultraviolet radiations to the planet's surface would damage plant life and have harmful environmental consequences. Now we have number 3rd layer of atmosphere, that is called the mesosphere. The mesosphere is a layer extending from approximately 30 to 50 miles, that is 50 to 85 km above the surface, is characterized by decreasing temperature. The coldest temperature in the Earth's atmosphere occur at the top of this layer, the mesopause, especially in the summer near the pole. The mesosphere has sometimes jocularly been referred to as ignosphere because it had been probably the least studied of the atmospheric layer. The stratosphere and mesosphere together are sometimes referred as the middle atmosphere. And the 4th layer of atmosphere is thermosphere. The thermosphere is located above the mesosphere. The temperature in the thermosphere generally increases with altitude reaching 600 to 3000 Fahrenheit, depending on solar activity. This increase in temperature is due to the absorption of intense solar radiation by the limited amount of remaining molecular oxygen. At this extreme, altitude gas molecules are widely spread. Above 60 miles, that is 100 kilometers from Earth's surface, the chemical composition of air becomes strongly dependent on altitude and the atmosphere becomes enriched with lighter gases, atmospheric oxygen, helium and hydrogen. Above about 100 miles, that is 160 kilometers altitude, the major atmospheric component becomes atmospheric oxygen. At very high altitudes, the residual gas begins to stratify according to molecular mass because of gravitational spectrum. And the last layer, exosphere. The exosphere is the most distant atmospheric region from Earth's surface. In the exosphere, an upward traveling molecule can escape to space, that is, it is moving fast enough, or to be pulled back to Earth by gravity, that is, it is not, with the little probability of colliding with another molecule. The altitude of its lower boundary, known as thermopause or exopause, ranges from about 150 to 300 miles, that is 250 to 500 km, depending on solar activity. The upper boundary can be defined theoretically by the altitude, about 120,000 miles, half of the distance to the moon, at which the influence of solar radiation, pressure on the atmospheric hydrogen, velocities exceeds that of Earth's gravitational pull. The exosphere is a transitional zone between Earth's atmosphere and interplanetary space. Now we see what is the magneto-electronic structure of atmosphere. The upper atmosphere is also divided into regions based on the behavior and number of free electrons and other charged particles, that is ionosphere, plasmasphere and magnetosphere. First of all, we will take a look on ionosphere. The ionosphere is defined by atmospheric effects on radio wave propagation as a result of the presence and variation in concentration of free electrons in the atmosphere. D region is about 35 to 55 miles, that is 60 to 90 kilometers in altitude, but disappears at night. E region is about 55 to 90 miles, that is 90 to 140 kilometers in altitude. F region is above 90 miles, that is 140 kilometers in altitude. During the day, it has two regions known as F1 region from about 90 to 115 miles, that is 140 to 180 kilometer altitude, and F2 region, in which the concentration of electrons peaks in the altitude ranges from 150 to 300 miles, that is around 250 to 500 kilometers. And the second layer in the electromagnetic structure is plasmasphere. The plasmasphere is not really spherical, but a donut shaped region, a torus, with the hole aligned with Earth's magnetic axis. The Earth's plasmasphere is made of just that, a plasma, the fourth state of the matter. This plasma is composed mostly of hydrogen ions, that is protons and electrons. It has a very sharp edge called plasmopause. The outer edge of this donut over the equator is usually some 4 to 6 Earth radii from the center of the Earth, or 12,000 to 20,000 miles, that is 19,000 to 32,000 kilometers above the surface. The plasmasphere is essentially an extension of the ionosphere. Inside the plasmopause, geomagnetic field lines rotate with the Earth. The inner edge of the plasmasphere is taken as altitude at which protons replace oxygen as the dominant species in the ionospheric plasma, which usually occurs about 600. The plasmasphere can also be considered to be a structure with the magnetosphere, miles 1000 kilometers altitude. Dear friends, now magnetosphere. Outside the plasmapause, magnetic field lines are unable to correlate because they are influenced strongly by electric field of solar wind origin. The magnetosphere is a cavity, also not spherical, in which the Earth's magnetic field is constrained by the solar wind and interplanetary magnetic field (IMF). The outer boundary of the magnetosphere is called magnetopause. The magnetosphere is shaped like an elongated teardrop, like a Christmas tree ornament, with the tail pointing away from the sun. The magnetopause is typically located at about 10 Earth radii or some 35,000 miles, that is about 56,000 kilometers above Earth's surface on the day side, and stretches into a long tail, the magnetotail, a few million miles long, about 1000 Earth radii, well past the orbit of the moon, that is at around 60 Earth radii on the night side of the Earth. With this, we conclude. Thank you for watching.